The Philadelphia Eagles just got some huge unexpected news that could change the next couple of weeks, but ultimately, I'll tell you why I am not worried. Also, on the other hand, the Buccaneers will be without one of their best weapons this upcoming weekend, which gives a huge boost to the Birds. Also, we will react to Kevin Patullo's comments on the offense's approach to the game, and should the Eagles bring back a familiar face that is apparently very controversial right now. We'll talk about all of it and more right here on A to Z Philly, but welcome into the show. I'm RB, and unfortunately, we have to start it off with some tough news today. Just coming out a little while ago, Adam Schefter says that Eagles outside linebacker Nolan Smith strained his triceps on Sunday, and he is now expected to be sidelined through the team's November 2nd bye. He could return against Green Bay on November 10th. So, essentially, 4 games, he's going to IR, and he'll have another week of rest with the bye. So 5 weeks where he will have to heal up. He had that triceps tear in the Super Bowl, and he had surgery, and he came back and was playing really well this season, but apparently tweaked the injury, and it sucks because he has been very pivotal. Also, in addition to Nolan Smith, Jakorian, Bennett, and Darius Cooper are also heading to IR. In place of them, the Eagles have signed Marcus Epps, Cam Latu, and Perry Nickerson to the active roster. And they also signed Lance Dixon, Eli Ricks, and Quez Watkins to the practice squad. A couple familiar faces there. But going back to Nolan Smith, obviously this is really brutal. I mean, he is your young leader in that edge room, and he has been nothing short of remarkable the last season and this season as well. But at the end of the day, let me tell you why I'm not worried about this Nolan Smith injury. Because we go back to last year, the Eagles lose BG for a while. What happens? Nolan Smith sees an increase in snaps, and he becomes the man. Jalen Hunt played more snaps at the end of last season. He became the man. The Eagles brought in the old man, Zadarius Smith. He's played over 20 snaps each game. They brought in Josh Uche this summer. No matter who the player is, no matter where they came from, what their salary is, they will be ready to go because Vic Fangio preaches that next man up mentality. He doesn't care. You're in the game. You're going to make plays. And yes, you are losing one of your best young defensive leaders, but I fully expect with the way this Eagles defense plays, not really blitzing more than 4, to still have an impact and be able to get to the opposing quarterbacks. And even if things are a little rough at first, you know the master of adjustments, Vic Fangio, is going to clean it up and make things happen. And I fully expect Jalen Hunt to take a huge step up over these next couple of weeks. Now, if we look at the snap count again, Zadarius Smith, it shows him at 24%, but that doesn't take into account week 1 when he wasn't here. So he's around 34% already. Then you have guys like Josh Uche, who have played 29% of the snaps. Jalen Hunt has been at 62%. You have other linebackers as well. Who knows what could happen? You could even have Jahad Campbell move up and rush the passer and have Nakobe Dean come back healthy, and they could find ways to kind of move these guys around. A lot of versatile pieces on the defense. So no, I am not worried. I think Vic Fangio has enough tools to play with. But I'll tell you what, man, that Jakorian Bennett injury certainly is interesting. Now, it was reported last week that Adoree Jaxson was also banged up. According to John Clark, Adoree Jaxson was out at practice today. Bennett will be out on IR. And apparently, Kelee Ringo could get back into the mix. Vic Fangio reportedly told Kelee Ringo, not in the last few days, but since the end of camp, he's going to get his opportunity at some point, and he's got to be ready. So this really does concern me. I really liked Kelee Ringo coming into this past offseason, and he was the young guy that they were looking forward to, that they nurtured and developed. It was his job to lose, right? We have a lot of frustrations with Adoree Jaxson, but Kelee Ringo was supposed to be the guy, and he went out there in training camp and lost that job. So if the Eagles are this depleted in cornerback depth and guys are going down, and let's say Adoree Jaxson goes down and now all you have left is Kelee Ringo, yeah, I think that's going to be a problem. And I would fully expect that Howie Roseman is already on the phone calling around, scouring the league, and he is going to try to make an upgrade in this cornerback room by the time we get to the trade deadline, because simply put, this looks like a Super Bowl team, and you need to have a better second cornerback on this team. So I know it might sound like a lot of pressure, but if Kelee Ringo does get an opportunity other than special teams, he better wake up and be ready to go, because the Eagles are going to need everything that they can get. And that brings me to another point about everything they can get. Well, what if they can get CJ Gardner-Johnson? Yeah, surprise, breaking news. 3 weeks into the NFL season, the Houston Texans are 0-3. That's a surprise. But they also go out and cut their starting safety, CJ Gardner-Johnson, after, quote, friction behind the scenes with him complaining about his role, wanting to blitz more, and even communicating that he wanted to be traded. So essentially, CJ Gardner-Johnson was mad that the team wasn't doing well, and he did what he always does, speaks up, opens his mouth, and tries to hold people accountable, and there was friction and they got rid of him. And he's been on a different team every single year. He has stirred up some drama in different situations, but you know what? Here in Philadelphia, it has worked. Both years, 22 and 24, that you had this guy starting on your defense. You had a really good heartbeat. He was a leader. He's electrifying. He's a hard hitter. He missed some plays, but overall, he was a positive. And he brought a lot of accountability to that locker room. And when you traded him this past offseason, it did not make a lot of sense at all. Really, the trade ended up being a wash, CJ Gardner-Johnson and Quinyon Green. And now this guy might end up being available to be had. So would I bring him in? Yes. And there was a lot of commotion yesterday about it's not possible, you can't do it. Well, here's the confirmation. Yes, you can. The Eagles can re-sign CJ Gardner-Johnson. I'm not going to go and read this entire thing to you, but here's the rule where you are allowed to bring back CJ Gardner-Johnson. The question is, should they do it? Well, they asked Nick Sirianni today about bringing him back. He said he's happy with the room. He mentioned the progress Drew Makuba is making next to Reed Blankenship. Now, let me be clear here. I would not bring back CJ to play safety. You drafted Andrew Makuba in the second round. You invested in him. He is your guy, and he's playing pretty well to start the season. So I would not mess with something that is working. But let's say you brought CJ back at least for a couple weeks. Right now you have cornerback issues. Guys are getting hurt. What if you bring back CJ Gardner-Johnson, play him in the nickel, you move Coop to the outside full-time temporarily, because I don't think that would work full-time. I like Coop a lot better in the nickel, and you see what Gardner-Johnson has. And if he ends up being an issue, okay, see you later. Get him out of here. You know, he knows that he would be on a short leash. Now, ultimately, I don't think the Eagles would do it. I don't think Vic Fangio would like it. I don't think the rest of the team would really welcome him back at this point. But if it was up to me, I think talent-wise, he does make this team better, and I would at least entertain it. But give me your thoughts on that and the defense down below. Now, I want to turn it over to the offense because according to John here on Twitter, the Eagles lead the NFL in red zone offense 100%. First time since 2000 that Philly is perfect inside the 20-yard line. And the offense and the offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, definitely deserve credit for that. But on the other hand, I just can't really understand what is going on here because Nick Sirianni came out and he said, quote, Kevin Patullo called the plays yesterday in the second half. Make no mistake, Jalen communicates. Jalen sees the field really, really well. That was in response to the question, did Kevin call the plays? So again, he kind of double talked him here. Not really a clear answer. I think Kevin Patullo called plays, but I think Jalen went up and ripped him. And then Kevin Patullo comes out and says this, kind of gets defensive. We always want to be in attack mode. He says that they were in attack mode to begin that game against the Rams. No, you weren't. You were getting your butt kicked. And it wasn't until Jalen Hurts came up and had that moment on the sideline where he ripped you and really kicked things into gear and started getting the ball to your best weapons, your playmakers, and really moving the ball downfield, stretching the field. And let me just say this. Against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that has been your kryptonite for a couple years, the Eagles should still be able to win this game because they are the more talented roster and they have the better weapons right now. But let me tell you, if we go into this game and the Eagles revert back to that conservative game plan and they're not throwing it down the field, they're not throwing it past the sticks, and they're just inching their way down the field, then Kevin Patullo is going to be clearly exposed and we are going to have a lot of issues. Look, I'm not saying to force things. All I'm saying is get it to your best weapons, put it in their hands, and let them go make plays. It will make things a lot easier for this team. And this week coming up is going to be a benchmark game, a benchmark moment for Kevin Patullo. On the other hand, it is going to be very interesting for Tampa. Nick Sirianni says the team will travel on Friday to acclimate to the Tampa heat. Apparently, it's going to be over 100 degrees, just a very muggy, sloppy environment. That's how it is every year. But apparently, the Bucs will also be without one of their best weapons, Mike Evans, who left Sunday's dramatic win, had an MRI, and revealed he will be out multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. So Mike Evans not going to be on the field. They're also dealing with other injuries. They've won every game in the last minute. I don't think the Buccaneers are nearly as good as the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have the more talented roster. They should win this game. The question is, will they play up to par? Will they utilize their weapons? And will they take full advantage of playing this Bucs team on the road while they're banged up? Speaking of taking advantage, the Eagles are going to take advantage of the Giants. They play them 2 times in 3 weeks, and now it is going to be against Jaxson Dart and not Russell Wilson. I predicted this to a T. I said Wilson would be benched around week 4, week 5. Now Jaxson Dart is the starter. And yeah, he looked better than Russell Wilson, but he doesn't know what is coming to him when he plays Philadelphia 2 out of the next 5 games. So you just have to laugh at how comical the New York Giants are. And last but not least, Adam Schefter finally turns the corner, and maybe he's been watching the show, but he says the Eagles have become inevitable. They've turned into what the Patriots were. They've turned into what the Chiefs were. They turn into a team that somehow always finds a way to win. You know, I've been saying that the last couple weeks now. They are the new Kansas City Chiefs. Hurts and Sirianni are the closest thing to Mahomes and Reed, Brady and Belichick. They just find ways to win no matter what. And this guy, Adam Schefter, who was whining and crying about the tush push, is now ready to give the Eagles their credit. I am so excited. I love this team. They are so much fun right now, and we'll see what happens. But Adam Schefter finally caves in and has nothing left to say. Give me your thoughts on these injury situations and everything else down below. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.